Hello guys, welcome back to the Beastie Room. Now we're going to do a spider today. We're going to rehouse another spider today. One that I've taken a bit of a shine to, and that is the Thrixopelma ockerti. Now you don't really hear of these very much, and I don't know why, because they really are quite a stunning little spider. Well, I say little, they get to a lot. Females are a good size. You're getting them up to sort of like 4.5 to 5 inches. So they're a really nice spider. Now they come from Peru and they are a semi-arboreal spider. So we are going to set it up in an arboreal situation. We will set this up and then we'll have a nice close look at them. We'll get her out on a bit of wood, I think, because they are quite a gentle spider. Can be a little bit skittish, but they're generally fairly well behaved. Actually, what we'll do is we'll put our glue gun on. Do that now. That could be warming up. Right. So we're just going to use our normal mix here. Now I know many of you keep saying, when are you going to start using some beastie soil, some beastie mix? Well, we will do. We just got to go out and get some. And at the moment, we haven't had a lot of time to do that. Now, don't forget, we have recently, we've literally just had the British Tarantula Society show, which we saw many of you there. That was a really, really cool day. Such a cool day. Thoroughly enjoyed that show. And we have now, this is coming out on Monday, we have got next weekend, we've got the one and only Bournemouth Bug Show, which is on the 1st of June, Sunday, the 1st of June. So do not miss that show. It is going to be an epic day out, a really, really cool day out. We're going to put a branch in here so she's got somewhere to perch out, because these guys will come and sit out. You'll have a look in a minute. I'm going to put a plant in there. I'll stick one of these palms in. Now, as we were saying earlier on, these guys can be a little bit on the nervous side, so we're going to provide a bit of cover with the use of one of these palms. So hopefully, the idea being that it'll just give our spider a little bit of confidence. Get a little bit more soil in there. And you can sort of see now we're filling it up. Not going to be a whole lot of room in here, but then spiders don't need a lot of roaming space, so we don't have to worry about it like that. We're more interested in making our spider feel secure. I'm going to put that in there. We've got a little bit of moss here that we can play around with. Very, very dry at the moment.
Looks lovely.
Yeah, you like that?
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Alright, so we're going to put this piece in here. And we're going to use the moss because it's going to help lock in some of the humidity. Now, it doesn't actually produce humidity itself, which is I find it quite intriguing actually, that quite often when you sort of look on things, people think that the moss is actually providing humidity. What it does is it locks in the moisture in the soil, which makes it
dries out
harder for it to come out. Yeah, so it just slows the whole process down. So it keeps more moisture in the soil for longer. And then that being said, as it does the warmth in the room and your tank starts to dry out, it gets a much slower release. And it's much easier to control with a carpet of moss over the top of it. So we're going to put that in there. get on glue gun. Don't forget, get your sprayer ready, because these things do get really, really hot. I think I burnt myself more in this last year on my glue gun, especially with this black stuff. This black stuff gets really, really hot. So I'm going to put that in there like that. Oh, do you know what? He's done it again.
Oh.
Stuck my finger on the glue.
Oh, for goodness sake.
I was only talking about getting burnt. And as you can see, we can actually give a good amount of moisture into this enclosure because of our room. Our room is nice and warm. We keep many of our spiders much warmer than the majority of people do, and we also, as we've said before, we keep these mesh tops, so it allows us to use a lot of water when we want to, and it won't affect our spider. So there we go, nice simple little enclosure there. And what we're going to do, we're going to get our favourite bit of wood here. Let's see if we can't manoeuvre this spider. Now, these really, really are very lovely little spider. Now, they have got a bit of a habit of shooting poop at you, so we do have to watch out for that. Now, this one has recently molted, and as you can see, it is absolutely stunning. You notice how the defense posture, sticking its bum up in the air. What we're going to do, we're going to try and get it to come down onto this piece of wood. So we're going to lift this back leg. Now, you remember we were saying about them being a little bit on the nervy side.
Where did she go?
She's underneath this piece of wood here. So when we turn this over, I'm going to bring it down.
Oh yeah.
And there she is.
I had a really good shot of her before you touched her leg.
Well, so there you go.
So why has she not gone into that defence?
She is now. You see her? She's slowly lifting up her rear. Now I don't know. This is going to be an interesting thing. Now look, she's hunkered down now. What I wanted to show you was we will turn around, get her to face the back, and I want you to hone in on her abdomen here. Use the zoom and come in, because you're going to need the light. So
yes.
go back a bit. What we're going to do, we're going to touch her leg. We're going to see if we can get her to lift her abdomen again. See, she, yeah, look.
She's too quick.
So what we want to do is we want to see that abdomen. Now, if you can home in on it now, and you will see she's preparing to poop.
That's why you wanted her facing me.
And you can see her anus is actually moving, and she's literally, you notice how the spinnerets, she's spread the spinnerets as far as possible, and you'll see her literally, her anus moving as she's getting ready to fire that poop at you, and that is a defensive mechanism. So if they're feeling threatened, as she is a little bit at the moment, you can see how she's preparing to defend herself. This is quite an unusual behaviour. These guys go into it quite readily. Some of the avics as we've seen before, will fire poop. We also had a pokey do it the other day, but that wasn't in a...
You give me a nice angle.
That wasn't in defence. And she's aiming it directly at me now. As you can see, they are a really, really colourful spider. And quite active. There we go. Settle down. There you go. See how she's literally just relaxed now? And she's just settled down.
Pour herself out.
Yeah. She's realised the threat is gone.
She's literally put herself there in the light where it's just blown all her colour out.
What we can do is we can move her around. There we go. Oh, a little bit of hair kick in there. You see that? You should get some lovely colour there. Look at that. Try and lay that down. There we go. So these are often known as the Peruvian flame, and the Flame Rump Tree Spider. Look at that. So now she's gone into that I'm going to hide type posture. Just before I was about to get my photograph. And if she will open up again. We'll get a photograph as she is now. I'll just turn that a little bit. So we'll get one like that. And then what we'll do is we'll try and just get her to move a little bit. She's like, I'm getting used to this now. That's it, just open up. Don't be shy.
And we're off.
And you can see now, quickly grab that now before she moves. Right. Now in terms of care for these really are quite simple. I'll move that around for you. They really are quite simple, easy to care for. We're looking at a humidity and temperature around about the mid-70s, and these guys will be absolutely fine. They really are quite hardy. In terms of food, they'll eat just about anything that you throw in with them. They can go off their food for a little while. We normally find this is where they've been filled up a little bit. So what we tend to do with ours, we've got a couple of these, and generally what we do is we feed them slightly smaller prey, and then every now and again we'll throw in a big prey. And this seems to keep them ticking over. And I think it's more important that we keep our spiders ticking over to the point where they're eating regularly rather than fasting. I'm not sure fasting is such a great thing for our spiders. So in the wild, they would not fast. And this is purely down to the fact that they don't get to feed every day or even every week. You know, these guys have to wait for something to come by and then catch it. So that might be a couple of weeks easily between meals. And even then, you know, we don't know whether that's going to be a light meal or a nice big meal. It's going to be literally in the lap of the gods, if you like, as to what happens to come by at the time. And then you've got to hope that they actually catch it. So as you would have seen sometimes with your own spiders, when you're feeding them in your enclosures and everything, not every time does your spider catch its food straight away. Quite often they'll make a lunge for it and they'll lose it, it'll disappear, and then that's it. Now if that was in the wild and that was a cricket or a roach or something like that, that would have jumped or ran and that would have been safe within seconds. So unless they catch it straight away, there's a good chance they don't actually get to feed at all. So in the wild, many of our spiders are actively hunting all the time, and that is because of the lack of food. They don't get readily available food like they do in captivity. So we need to try and replicate that with our spiders, which means we can keep their abdomens a little bit lower. Now, once you start becoming accustomed with your spiders, what I would suggest to you is you want to keep your abdomens but a little bit under what you think is actually a really good size, because most of the time what we actually look at and we think is really nice is often a little bit overweight, a little bit on the large side. So try and just trim them down a little bit, but you have to be careful because species change. Each species has a slightly different shape abdomen to the last. So some of them are designed to be quite bulbous, some are designed to be elongated. You know, if you're looking at an elongated abdomen, you don't necessarily want a big abdomen the size of the animal's carapace, because that would be abnormal for that particular species. Whereas things like our Brachypelmas, all that sort of thing, a lot of the new worlds, many of them can be kept with their abdomen of a similar size to their carapace, and you won't go far wrong. But I would still, even with those, keep them a little bit on the smaller side. Right, so what we're going to do now, we are going to offer this up. She's actually gone to sleep, so we're going to wake her up. And we're going to put this down in here like this, because as we've seen, she will try and go underneath it. So what we want to do is try and get her to go onto that piece of wood. There we go. They'll go up, not down. Here we go, look, a nice branch there. There we go, look at that. And she's away. Not quite sure where to. She will just be looking for somewhere nice and dark, which happens to be the underside of that piece of wood. So there you go, you're not going to see much more of her now. So once she's come in, she'll set up home behind that bark. It might take her a few days. This is something else that we often see in the comments and things. You know, people worry when they rehouse a spider, that spider may sit out in the open, it may sulk in a corner. You know, we have that before now. And then you might have a perfectly lovely piece of wood in there for them to hide behind, but they put a web up in front of it and they hide there. You know, give them time, eventually they will find their way around. But sometimes it does take a little bit of time. So don't be panicking if after a week your spider is still sitting outside. It should be fine. It'll be all right. Now, when we've rehoused our spiders like this, generally we won't feed this spider now for maybe 3-4 days. You know, it all depends on the spider. If she sets up home behind there relatively quickly, then we'll pop food in. If she's sitting outside and she's looking a bit sulky, then we'll leave it and we'll wait for her to settle down. So don't forget, you know, your spider doesn't need to be fed every 5 minutes to be happy. There she is down there now. She's come out and a nice little look around. So yeah, just try and chill out, relax. Think of most of what we do in this hobby is real basic common sense. And if you try and stay along the common sense lines, you won't go far wrong. Right, that is our Thrixopelma ockerti. I think they're a really cool spider. And then, don't forget, as we said, this coming Sunday at Bournemouth is the Bournemouth Bug Show. And it's going to be a really fantastic day. We are absolutely sold out. Every table has gone. It's proven to be a really big hit. We had the very first show was last year. So this is a second one. And Andy, the organiser, he's done a wonderful job. So come along, support the show. We've also put links in our Facebook and everything else. So if you'd be so kind as to actually go on them links and share them links to everyone and everything that you know of. Any groups, whatever you can get away with, share them links. And let's see if we can't plaster it all over the place in the next week. It'd be really, really cool. And we, hopefully, will see you there on the day. Really looking forward to it. Right then, don't forget, be calm, be gentle, and love your spider. And I'll see you all soon, guys.